Welcome to Igniting Change, the podcast where we explore innovation, industry trends, and how tech for good is solving the world's biggest challenges. Let's get into it.
Welcome back, folks. This is Greg and Sam here with a follow-up episode about Apple Intelligence. So last year we did an episode following on from the Apple Intelligence announcement with some thoughts about what we're excited about. Now that it's out here in the UK, we've both had a chance to play around with it. Got some thoughts and opinions to share, both our own and some of the things that have been floating around the web. And that's what we're going to be covering today. So, Sam, any initial reactions? How have you found Apple Intelligence?
I was really excited to get it. It wasn't officially announced, but it was swirling around on the internet that we were going to get it, that day. And so I was keeping an eye on my software update, ready to, as Christmas goes, this is really exciting. And it did arrive, and I downloaded the software update, and I kind of feel like there are almost two categories of features that we got. The stuff that's integrated and the stuff that's just sort of there. So the integrated stuff that surfaces itself, like the notification summaries and the writing tools. And then there's the stuff that tells you it's there, but is maybe not so integrated, like the image playgrounds and the images from hand-drawn notes and things that kind of feels like a whole separate category of stuff.
For sure. I think like harking back to the previous episode, we talked about how some of the features we were most excited for was the sprinkling of AI in throughout the OS, and like that being, deeply embedded features and sort of almost fading into the background, and they just make life easier. And I'd say that's probably like where I've found most use out of the features. I think some of the standalone things feel a little bit like a bit gimmicky, don't they?
Yeah, they do. I think, like you say, most use out of the integrated stuff. I think the thing I've probably used the most actively, so to speak, is the Siri being able to tap into ChatGPT. Once you've turned off the setting that means that it asks you, you ask it a question, it goes, oh, can I check with ChatGPT about that? You can turn it off asking that, so it'll just immediately refer to ChatGPT. And I've enjoyed that as just sort of a very speedy link for if I've just got one question that won't need too many follow-ups or whatever, I just need an answer. Double tapping the command key on my Mac and then just typing the question into Siri and it handing it off to ChatGPT, ChatGPT handing it back. That's been probably the thing that I've actively used the most.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
I went through the same thing of like, there must be a way to turn off this asking business. It does. I understand why they have to do it, the focus they have on privacy, and this is a third party. But it was a bit of an annoying experience. I found a lot of requests it was trying to hand off to ChatGPT rather than handling itself. I thought perhaps Siri might handle a bit more of that. I was kind of surprised how many times I was triggering that. Are you okay if I use ChatGPT? So yeah, I also disabled that because it was getting a bit annoying.
It is interesting how much it throws over to ChatGPT, isn't it? Because of course, Apple Intelligence is its own model as well, and it's really just not. It doesn't seem to be used much at all for Siri. And I think a lot of questions that originally it would have answered itself, badly or not, it now does throw over to ChatGPT.
I particularly enjoy the email writing and proofreading on the Mac. Like that, I felt was really solid. I used to be a paid Grammarly subscriber. I am no longer. I think it does a great job at that. It's quite useful changing it. There's, I think you've also explored some of the funner side of that as well, right?
Yeah, yeah. The proofread's amazing, but I did enjoy they mentioned this in the keynote, to be fair, so it wasn't my own inspiration, but being able to select text and go into Apple Intelligence writing tools and have it rewrite it as a poem, I got a lot of entertainment out of for a good day, maybe even like just an afternoon of entertainment there, rewriting work messages as poetry.
The other strong use case, and I think the Photos app has long been like where a lot of their machine learning R&D has gone into, but the photo editing and like removing unwanted items out of pictures is pretty magical. The results are pretty good. I've had a few that have left like, blurry artifacts, but some have been like really, really good, especially for social, just removing a few like unwanted people out of a picture, or people in the background, or you didn't quite get the composition right and you got something sticking out like that. I thought that was really good, and just like quite a magical experience. It detects items that you might want to remove and you can just tap on them, or you can sort of select an area. I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah, it's definitely a nice thing to have far more easily, because before it would have needed to have been a third-party app or airdropping it into Photoshop or whatever. It's nice to have that right there.
One thing
One of
that you
the
mentioned to me that I think is a good time to bring up is around. So we talked about how some of these features are sprinkled around in different apps, but one of the little barriers is that every time you come across one and you want to use it, there's a bit of friction there because it has to download a model. So it doesn't sort of pre-install everything. It waits till you come across it and try to use it, and then there's like, okay, now it's downloading the model and installing it and decompressing it, and that I thought was a little bit like, oh, it'd be nice if it breaks the magic a little bit. I feel not having those,
Yeah,
they sprinkled it all throughout, but then when you come across it, you're like, oh, I have to download it.
if I recall correctly as well, you needed to actively go in and switch Apple Intelligence on, like it wasn't there by default.
Yeah, so that is changing in iOS 18.3.
Okay.
So that is something that some people probably aren't going to like, but it is going to be enabled by default from iOS 18.3. You're going to have to actively disable the AI features. So that's an interesting change.
Something that I was really looking forward to using, and actually have switched off now, which is unlike me, um, is the notification summaries. I was really like the prospect of having those massive, when we're working in Slack all day and you get to a thread that's like 100 messages long and you're just jumping in and you need to know what it is, having the pile of Slack notifications on my lock screen summarized, the idea of that, dreamy.
Dreamy.
But actually, what I found, and I only switched it off yesterday or the day before, is that yes, it tells you what's going on in that thread of conversation, whether it was a work thread or a personal thread or someone who's just sent me a really long text. It told me what was happening, but it didn't give me any of the character and emotion and I don't know what to call it, the emotional context of the content. I have decided that I get a better idea of what's going on depending on, if the last message is in all caps, or like you can just see the one message and get more context than having two sentences separated by a semicolon.
I agree. There's also been a lot online of like the fails of it just getting the wrong end of the stick and summarizing the wrong thing. If you're on Reddit, Apple Intelligence Fails is a fun community to have a look at, like screenshots people have of like what the original text was and what the summarization was. I'm the same. I found that it was actually causing me more like cognitive load trying to interpret what it was trying to say than just reading uh, the normal summary without intelligence. There's
Yeah,
also
I
been
agree.
reports of, so it does some prioritization of your notifications and puts things at the top that are more important. There's been reports of it prioritizing like phishing emails, which is particularly egregious. So people are sort of exploiting it, looking for things like urgent and important, and phishing perpetrators are exploiting this feature to get their phishing emails at the top of inboxes. So that is another one to be careful of. And same, I've had to disable that feature. I found it quite distracting.
I suppose the pinch of salt to take with that is that the ones that end up online, the fails that end up online, end up there because they're funny, and they're actually the minority. It's funny to see a breakup text summarized into one sentence. That's really funny. But there are plenty of places where the notification summary has been good, but definitely the overall, it feels like you say, cognitive load is lower for just reading the thread of notifications.
One other criticism you might be able to levy is accessing it. So you need to have an iPhone 15 Pro or higher. And even the iPhone 15 Pro doesn't get access to a feature I would actually love to have access to, which is visual intelligence. So this is, you can hold down the camera button and it will activate visual intelligence, and it understands things it sees. So it can detect dog breeds or what a plant is, or a particularly nice example that Apple gave is you can use visual intelligence on a flyer and it can automatically create a calendar event for you. Like that, those are like features that I'd love to be able to use. But yeah, you need to be on the absolute latest and greatest to use that. But I can see a lot of use
that's
for
something that it's something that I played with, but actually have never thought to use. So maybe I just need to remember to see if that will do the things that I want it to.
I'd love to see that from an accessibility point of view as well. So people with that have sight issues or can't see, if that with AirPods in, and like, can it narrate things for them? Can it see for them? Can it be a replacement for like apps like Be My Eyes? I'd love to see some more exploration of how that might help people with diverse needs.
The comment you make around like the really limited availability of Apple Intelligence just being on the latest phones, all of the marketing around the 16 and the 16 Pro being, these are the first, this is what they said in the event, these are the first iPhones built from the ground up for Apple Intelligence, and then didn't have Apple Intelligence for months afterwards. And it was, they can't be that built on Apple Intelligence. It's got that special button on the side, but yeah.
Yeah, it has been interesting to see how, so iOS 18 releases each one has brought on a little bit more. So they're definitely going with a phased rollout here. They have like a roadmap of features. Probably wasn't super clear back in WWDC how it wasn't all going to come in one big whack. I think, thinking back to some of the features we were particularly excited about, that intelligence, sort of using information across apps, I don't think that has materialized yet, which I'm quite excited about, of it being able to ask it questions about data I have in apps and pull data from this app and stuff like that. That I don't think has arrived yet. From what I could see, maybe 18.4 is when that's coming out. So, they're clearly investing a lot into it, and we're only partway through, this roadmap of releasing it. So I still have high hopes, but it is a bit of a slower journey than perhaps we expected.
Yeah, that personal context thing is almost the thing that they spoke about the most during the event. And it's the thing we've seen the least of.
It is the thing that I'm quite excited for. So I'm looking forward to seeing when that comes. Look, I had also a bit of a look to see how the wider web has been reacting, how people have been finding it, to see how interest and usage is. It seems like one stat I found from sellsell.com was around 73% of iPhone users saying that AI features add little or no value. I think a lot of people mentioned similar things to us as the features they did find useful. But I think it is still finding its feet. And I think, that some of that personal context stuff, I think that's maybe where people will start seeing it become more useful and a bit more of like that digital assistant.
it's one of the things that we spoke about when we did our initial podcast on this stuff, is that they were making Siri competent, and that they were going to give it this big visual refresh to indicate that Siri will be competent now. And you turn Apple Intelligence on, and it's a really cool fucking animation. The way that it does the haptics and everything, and
It's
warps
really
the screen
nice.
slightly, and then fills sexy. But it is kind of the same old Siri who just has made a friend in ChatGPT, and is still largely. And I did because of that visual refresh, and because we had Apple Intelligence, I was giving it more opportunity to help me. I was asking it things that I wouldn't have done before, thinking, oh, it's clever now. It's kind of disappointing.
I agree. Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I want it to be good, and like you, the AI summaries, for example, I try to use that for a while to try to see if I get used to it, and maybe it's just that sort of like initial visceral reaction. I really did try to give that a chance, but yeah, I did struggle with that. So really, right now I'm holding out hope for 18.3 and point 4. Hoping that we get more of that digital assistant and the personal context stuff, because I think that for me is what I'm super interested in. But it's people already have a strong opinion about Siri, and you don't get much of a chance for second impressions. So it's going to be a bit of a tough uphill battle. I think there's a lot of marketing behind it, but it needs to deliver, right? It needs to offer people things that add value and make their lives easier.
Yeah. The the things that we were talking about earlier that were sort of separate from the more integrated stuff, especially the image playground, which it does like to tell you exists when you boot up, the new version of Mac and the new version of iOS is like, hey, come use image playgrounds, and you go in and you have to download the model for it and everything. I think that the draw to this versus other AI image generation software and tools like ChatGPT with DALL-E is that it was able to pull people in from your photos library and pets in from your photos library. That's really cool to be able to do your AI generated images, but with you in them and the people you know, and send them to your friends and all of that stuff. What I have found is that those images are harrowing. The interpretations it makes of the people in my photos is like, that is not that person. And I kind of assumed that it would accumulate all of the photos of a person together to make the AI version of them, but it seems to use one
That one
actively.
image, right?
Yeah, and so you've kind of got to go through all of the photos of a person to find the one that generates the least horrific. It's kind of like, oh yes, this one accentuates all my worst characteristics.
Yeah, it's not good at lying to us in the way that we like to be lied to. Really, does it?
Yeah,
It
yeah.
doesn't
Please
flatter
make
us.
me,
Yeah.
but flattering.
Yeah, yeah. Have you been having fun with Genmoji? I know that was something you were looking forward to when we spoke last.
I actually have. I actually really have, because like I say, I do need really niche emojis. And I would like to have an emoji for everything I'm saying. And I have been able to. I've generated a lot. And again, have decided that generating emojis with people from your photos in them results in some harrowing things. But, prawn in a cocktail dress to represent a prawn cocktail, excellent.
Nice.
Little black cat princess. I've been able to generate some good stuff.
Nice. I haven't had a chance to play around with that much. I'm looking forward to giving that a go. I think I do think that Apple has always straddled that line well of like having fun features in their operating systems, and it's still a serious productivity OS both on mobile and desktop, but it's able to ride that line well of like the having the fun elements as well, and things like photo booth and things like that. They've always had a few like of
classic.
those, and I think it is part of their DNA, and people aren't always working all the time, right? So yeah, I do dig that they also put effort into those features, despite some people disparaging. Like it won't be the killer app, but
I
I
think
still think it's
Genmoji, yeah, it's no photo booth. I think Genmoji is possibly my favorite implementation of AI generated imagery in things that we've seen so far.
Mhm.
So Snapchat with their AI generated snaps, and TikTok being like, hey, make an AI reaction image, and just everything with their little AI features for image generation. Even image playgrounds from Apple, I don't ever see myself going, oh, I'm going to send this full image that I've generated. But the Genmoji, where you can just have it in line with text or just a little bit smaller, and with that really distinctive Apple emoji style,
Mm.
I just think it's almost the most tasteful implementation of AI image
Mm.
generation.
I hear you. Yeah. Nice. I think that pretty much wraps up the things that we wanted to cover. So, we will probably carry on doing these in the future. Maybe bring in some other folks to share their opinions as well as people start using it more. And especially looking out for those future releases where personal context becomes a thing, because that's the thing that we're hoping will be a bit of a game changer. So looking forward to that releasing and expect the team to do a follow up on that when that happens. But that's all from Sam and Greg. Thank you all for listening, and we'll see you in the next one.